Let me get things zoomed in a little bit here. Oh, it looks like our stream's live. Sweet. Let me get chat pulled up appropriately. It says open chat. Cool. That's what we want. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. Lots to cover as usual today. We'll be talking about the S&P and what I think is going to be happening with that. We're going to be talking about tariffs. We got 25% tariffs for Canada, Mexico. Sounds like China too. But trying to walk back the Canadian ones a little bit and maybe make them more strategic. And then I think eventually doing the same with all these others. We've got the Mag 7. Here's a question I have. I actually wonder if the Mag 7 is going to start underperforming. I think Apple is just horrific. It's not a growth company anymore. You've got revenues that are the equivalent of what they were 2 years ago. You've got NVIDIA with, almost a quarter of their earnings coming from sales in Singapore, and we know where those are going. They're going to DeepSeek. They're going to China. And then we have Microsoft really underperforming too. Now, again, Tesla can help with that, and I think will in the quarters ahead. But I actually wonder if that's kind of a drag on the S&P, and we'll lead into a few other things too. We got a lot more than that. We got earnings. We got tons of stuff, tons of stuff today. It seems to be every day now that Trump's in office. So FS Insights, they did indicate a few things. So first off, yesterday we were above 60.50. That's where I said we really wanted to be. We wanted to be above peak volumes on the S&P, and we did that. You can see over on the right how we're right at those peak volumes. We're sitting good. We had this nice little bounce. Now, I do want to point out other stuff, though, and then I'll give you FS Insights' take on it. We've got bearish divergence on the weekly RSI that started back in March of 2024 for the S&P. So I'm just going to throw out a thought, and it could be wrong, but I'm just going to throw it out. And that's the RSI. The MACD has it for a little less, like the end of the last quarter. What if the S&P underperforms in this new year because of this bearish divergence and because of Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Apple just kind of sucking? And maybe others, right? But maybe it underperforms, and maybe now is the opportunity for us to see other indices doing well. Thank you, Double H. Appreciate you. Cute little dog, too. So anyway, I just wanted to say we got above 60.50. We want to keep that today. And then FS Insights also said, they reiterated the same thing that I said, where, basically how you do in January is how you do for the rest of the year. And he reiterated some statistics behind it. 89% chance of having a positive year if you have a positive January. I think that's pretty good deal. So if we have a positive January, which it looks like we're going to, because if the S&P stays above 58.80, we've got a positive January. And then that gives us an 89% chance of having a positive year based upon history going back 75 years, 74 technically. I feel like those are pretty good odds. Germany inflation rate just came in lower than expected. That's good because their unemployment's going up like fucking crazy. So they're going to need that to juice the money printer like Canada's doing, like the European Union's going to have to do, and like China's doing, which is why their market's outperforming right now. So that's all good. The money printer going burr around the world while it calms down here and we get our debt in order, I think is the best case scenario, and I'm very stoked about it. All right, but we got more to talk about. Let's keep going here. What else did FS Insight said? We had Tom Lee say that plummeting CPIs should help markets go higher in the months and quarters ahead. I agree with that. Again, shelter is going to be a huge component. Insurance is going to be a huge component. We will see these things go lower, and I do think that we'll see oil go lower despite all the blustering right now about the tariffs with Canada and Mexico and China. I do think we'll see oil prices go lower, and I'll be showing you reasons why later, irregardless of how things go with the tariff discussion. So we'll make sure to cover that. Earnings. Today, it's a lot of energy-related companies. If you look over here, lots of energy. And so far, we have, again, 79% beating with a median of 7%. That hasn't really changed, but we're up to 33% reported now. So earnings, looking good. Economic data, thank you for asking. Economic data. So let's talk about some of that. We're going to jump into other charts too. So Germany's hit unemployment rates that it hasn't seen in 3 years. Inflation's dropping. It's just a shit show. It's a fucking complete shit show. But what have I been saying for a while? Yeah, Canada versus U.S. currencies are not doing very good for Canada either. That's another good point. But what have I been saying for a while about inflation around the world? I've been saying that it will come down, right? And that's what's happening. I just want to be very clear. It's doing exactly what I've said it's going to do, which it tends to be the case more often than not. Intel had a good call. Might be worth looking at. Nah, they got to prove something to me. I really don't care. GDP, I mean, they just have to, from what I saw for years with all the promises, and I know they're getting a new CEO, I just got to see something. They're just a dying company. I'd love to see them actually progress and head down the right path. I just don't trust them. I don't trust their management. They've got to do better. Let's look at GDP, month over month, preliminary for December for Canada, real quick. Wow, negative. That sucks. Canada sucks so bad right now. Look at all these negative months over here. And this is a hard chart to read. It's not the best. But all these negative months, and now they're going negative again. At least over here, they were positive and then just flat before the pandemic. Now that's just all over. Any juice that came from the pandemic is just gone. It's just gone. Now, and I'm sorry, that was for the last month. They haven't gotten it yet. They get it at 7:30. So technically 24 minutes for the new one. And we'll see how that goes. So that would have been like November's prelim. U.S. So today at 7:32, we got a lot of data at 7:30. So we got PCE price index, personal income, personal spending, employment costs, Fed Bowman speaking, more price-related data. Then at 8:45, we got Chicago PMI. So this is a good day, I think, for me to cut out early again, or maybe stick around for some charts. I might do that. All right, let's see what else we want to talk about. So yeah, tariffs, in case you didn't catch it, tariffs, 25% Canada, 25% Mexico, 25% China. We ain't fucking around. But we are working to limit some of those. Now let's listen real quickly about J.D. Vance talk about what we need to do with the military real quick here.
We need to spend, obviously, more on defense to make our country safer. We also have to spend smarter on defense. Our procurement process is totally broken. The way that we...
This is interesting, actually. So, again, I think a lot of this is going to end up helping out Palantir, even though I do believe their valuation is still very high.
Actually buy weapons has become totally broken. We've made it harder for new entrants, right? New companies to develop new technologies. We've learned this in Russia, Ukraine. We've learned this elsewhere. The face of the modern battlefield has changed. It's going to keep on changing, and America has to keep pace with that change. And I think...
Have I touched Tim? Yeah, I call it ARKG, baby. I call it ARKG, and it's getting ready for a massive breakout. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry, JD Vance. So I showed this yesterday. ARC Genomics, one of their largest holdings is Tim, and they're down 76% from where they were 1,470 days ago. Their current assets under management are $1.18 billion. They're breaking out of a downtrend that started 1,100 days ago, which for people that might be new here with math is like 3 years ago. And we're getting ready to break out. And once we do break out, really once we get above like 2850, then it's a real quick launch to the 31 zone, right around there. And then once we get above like the 3170 range, really 32, let's call it 32, then it's a quick jump to 35. And this thing, and then again, I think this year that we'll end up landing between like 47 and 75, and you can get 7 to 10x with the options contracts I was talking about. So I think this to me, if we get more of a risk-on environment because people are loving tech, this is such a fucking easy play. It's my play of the day for sure, probably my play of the month, maybe play of the quarter. All right, back to JD.
What DOGE is going to do, it's going to save money. And I really believe it's already identified a lot of cost savings. And again, we're 8 days into this thing, Sean. It's going to identify a lot more cost savings. The most important thing that it's going to do, I don't even think it's the cost savings. It's making the bureaucracy responsive to the elected president. In 8 days, Sean, we could sit here for an hour, and I could tell you stories I've heard from...
You're welcome to stay.
Yeah.
I know you have to go.
I know we have other things to do.
I love JD Vance.
I would love to hang out for an hour, but Look, if you look at, okay, the president issues an executive order saying we're not going to give grants to organizations that do X, Y, and Z. And the bureaucracy just doesn't respond. DOGE has identified grants that were going to be made in violation of an executive order and stopped them right before the money was wired. We're talking about making the people's government responsive to the people's elected president. That is going to do more to unleash innovation, to unleash economic prosperity. When you don't have this crushing bureaucracy that answers to nobody sitting on top of the American people, we're going to get it off, and we're going to actually make it responsive to our economic growth needs, to our needs to buy the right weapons for the next generation of warfare. And I think that is the most profound thing that DOGE is going to do.
Next generation warfare and weapons. Anduril, Palantir, and probably like Red Cat and a bunch of other companies, right? That we'll see which ones end up being the cream, but they'll float to the top. But this is happening. This is definitely happening. Also on appointments, guys, we got confirmations out the wazoo, right? So we got Robert F. Kennedy, we got Kash Patel, and we got Tulsi Gabbard. I think at least 2 out of 3 of those are getting confirmed, and it might be 3 for 3. We'll find out real soon. But if that ends up happening and we get 3 for 3, shit is going to be turned upside down in the future. Upside down. And there's good stuff happening, guys. Let's go into energy more. We'll talk about strike. We'll talk about the fact that they were 200% more subscribed for MicroStrategy's latest offering with the 8% dividend. We'll talk about all that stuff too. But let's stick on the U.S. economy and energy right now. So Bloomberg international plan to wean off Indonesian coal is probably what this should say, is certain to be scrapped by U.S. President Donald Trump, according to the country's climate envoy. Yes, it will be. We're going back to coal. Fuck it. Don't worry about it. It's pretty clean. It'll be fine. The world's not coming to an end. Just in, Germany reports almost 3 million unemployed in January, the highest level for nearly 10 years. The unemployment rate rose by 0.4 percentage points. So look at this. This is going back to 2016, almost 10 years ago. This is a very bad number. And look at how just weird and I don't know if you can call this seasonality. This is weird unemployment data. It's got to be seasonal in some way. Tulsi Gabbard's a badass. Kash Patel's a badass. Robert F. Kennedy's a badass. They tore those fucking Democratic senators apart. They ripped them a new asshole. It was amazing to see all 3 of these confirmations. Good job, guys. Chevron, a little energy company you guys might not have ever heard of. We're already engaged with the Trump administration on Venezuela. We're going back to Venezuela. You best recognize that. We're going back to Venezuela. We're going to get cheap energy wherever we can find it. Friend or foe, fuck it. We've got bigger problems ahead of us. We've got war with China, and we'll talk about that right now. So China in Beijing. Let's just jump down here. There's a lot going on. This is cool. So Mario Nafal is posting kind of like a, hey, here's the news updates for the day, which I thought was handy. Number 9 is satellite images reveal China is constructing a massive military complex in western Beijing. They've been doing this for a while, which U.S. intelligence believes will serve as wartime command center, 10 times the size of the Pentagon. The 15-acre site features deep underground bunkers designed to protect Chinese military leaders in a potential conflict, including nuclear war. This is what we're getting ready for. You might not like the sound of it, but it's what China's getting ready for, and it's what we're going to get ready for. And we'll do everything we can to avoid it, but in the end, it will be what it is. Bitcoin news. President Donald Trump is ramping up his use of tariffs. By the way, about 16 minutes, guys, and we get that 7:30 data on PCE price index stuff. Is ramping up his use of tariffs as a tool on international relations, leveraging the spending of power of U.S. citizens during a recent Oval Office briefing. He confirmed plans to impose tariffs on all products from Mexico and China starting February 1st. I mean, Canada's on the list too, but that's a little different. This new border tax aims to curb illegal immigration, with the Trump stating thousands of people are pouring through the Mexico and Canada, bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. While the decision on applying tariffs to oil imports remains undecided, they might do tariffs against us on that. But again, we've got so many other plays that we're working on, including Venezuela, which they're not going to be able to. And we take their oil, refine it, and then spit it back to Canada, which is funny. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that we could do to counter anything that comes up. While the decision on applying tariffs to oil remains undecided in the U.S., oil imports from Canada and Mexico exceed 5 million barrels a day, potentially impacting fuel prices for consumers. Don't worry about that. It's just bullshit. Who is this article from? Oh, Bitcoin News. Okay. This probably came from Bloomberg, actually. Trump also hinted at similar measures for Chinese imports, citing fentanyl crisis as a major concern. They're causing hundreds of thousands of deaths, he remarked. However, analysts warn of possible retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. exports, increased foreign investment controls, and complicating investments in China for U.S. nationals. We don't want people to invest in China, so that's not a conflict. As Trump navigates these complex trade dynamics, what are your thoughts on the impact? Okay, don't care. Keep going. This is something I just want to reiterate. So 2 years ago, Michael Burry. So for all you people who want to be really smart on timing markets, and don't get me wrong, I try to do it too, right? We'll see how lucky I am. We'll see how lucky I am here soon. I've been all right so far, but we'll see how well I do in the future, especially when things get complicated. But we got Michael Burry. Again, this is the guy who, like, the great financial crisis called all this stuff. And he's called like 10 more since that have not come to fruition. That's the problem with some of these guys. They're always looking for that, right? They've got their monkey brain on. They're always looking for it. 2 years ago, he said sell. And the S&P's up 49% since that time. Does that seem like, ouch, right? That's a lot of opportunity cost. Wall Street Trump aides look for new ways to scale back Canada-Mexico tariffs. Oh, wait, so we're going to tariff the shit out of them, but we're going to scale it back? Yes, of course we are. Trump has been pushing for 25% tariffs on all imports from Canada and Mexico, but his team is now considering ways to dial it back, possibly limiting the tariffs to steel and aluminum, exempting key sectors. This is the art of the deal. You start off with a fucking hatchet, and then you're like, you know what? Maybe it'll just be a light little cut. Maybe it'll be, let's not hurt each other. This is how it works. And it says, or exempting key sectors like oil or delaying implementation to keep negotiations open. The shift comes as U.S. businesses and labor groups sound the alarm on supply chain disruptions and rising costs. Canada and Mexico have been negotiating on issues tied to immigration, drug trafficking, which could help avoid the full tariff hit. So again, we're working on it. We're going to work with them. Everybody's blustering on all sides, right? But we win in the end. I just want people to be very fucking clear. We win in the end. You know how you know that? You just look at Canada. You look at Canada and what happened since the talk of tariffs. These guys were above 70 cents Canadian dollar versus the US dollar a while ago. And they were hoping they were going to get to like 75, 78. Now they're just falling off a cliff because of these tariff negotiations and the fact that we hold all the power. And you can see what a lot of Canadians think about it, but I'm just going to read this real quick. We'll move on. Donald Trump confirmed tariffs are coming to Canada. The Canadian dollar dropped. Instead of securing the border and going after the criminal organizations, we have politicians thinking they can go dollar for dollar tariff war with the U.S. Like, fuck. And then a bunch of people, it's funny, Canada is mostly liberal, and if you brought it in the 51st state by population, it would have as many votes as California, and the Republicans would never win again. No. That's not what we're looking for, man. We'll just take the conservative parts of Canada. Thank you very much. The ones with all the valuable resources. But this is great. This Canadian guy. We're going to be the first 51st state, aren't we? Kirk, they're going to buy us from a Groupon sale. I love it. You Canadians have a sense of humor. That's for fucking sure. A lot of comedians come from Canada. All right, we already did that one. Let me see here. Yes, this is a wonderful interview here too. This is from LVMH CEO Bernard Arnault. He is one of the richest people on earth, and what his statements in here are shocking. He essentially says that I'll read the first part. I've just returned from the USA, and as you so kindly noted, I was able to see the wind of optimism prevailing in that country. And when you come back to France after spending a few days in the USA, it's a bit of a cold shower, I must say. You get the impression that in the USA, you're welcome with open arms. These guys are coming to the USA in a big way, you can tell. Taxes are going to drop to 15%. The workshops you could build in the USA are subsidized in the whole series of states. So we got governmental level removing taxes, and then you got states creating incentive programs to get people in. And the American president encourages this. The market is growing fast. Just look at the new boutique Pietro has opened in New York, which is an incredible success. Frankly, there are 100-meter-long waiting lines. It's really quite exceptional. And yet it's very, very elitist. He's talking about Europe again. So when you come to France and you see what we're about, raising taxes by 40% on companies that manufacture in France, it's almost unbelievable. So we're going to have a tax made in France. If you want to cool down optimism, it's hard to beat that. It's the ideal way to encourage relocation of companies. He's literally saying he's going to the United States. We offered both solutions. Obviously, bureaucracy prevents that. To do that, we'd have to do what they do in the USA, appoint someone to slash the bureaucracy a bit. But as soon as you try to do that, you're sued. It's impossible. He's literally saying, one of the richest people on earth is saying, I fucking give up on France. And the USA is where you should be. Let's see. Anything else interesting in here? Nah, we're good. Oh, wait, maybe that one. Breaking European Central Bank cut rates by 25 bips. Oh, and Christine Lagarde, that stupid bitch, said that there's no way central banks are going to be in Europe are going to be using Bitcoin because she's a fucking idiot. Good times. All right. 10 minutes, guys, about 9.5, and we will get, Europe is so fucked. I know. I feel bad. All you guys that are in Europe and in Canada, I just feel bad for you, but there is hope, and we'll talk about some of it in a little bit. Actually, let's do that real quick. We're going to jump into some geopolitics stuff, and then we'll get back to Trump. Then we'll just keep rocking and rolling. Trump lifts sanctions on Israeli groups in the West Bank. So right before Biden left, he put a bunch of sanctions on 30 individuals and organizations because of things that were going on with Gaza and all this stuff. Trump revoked them. Holy shit, the Reform UK are now leading the national polls by 4%. A revolution is brewing in the United Kingdom. Now, Labour is Keir Starmer's party, which blows my mind, actually. I don't know enough about UK politics. Maybe some of you guys from Europe and in the UK specifically can speak to this. But as far as I understand it, Reform is definitely a better party right now than Labour. Please give us hope in the UK. Dude, tell me, is this hope? Is this hope? You tell me, dude. I don't know your parties well enough. You have way too fucking many of them. I used to think that was ideal, but now I know it's bullshit. But you tell me. You tell me if there's hope. Visegrad. Summary of the past 2 days in Sweden. Islamic critic Salwan Momika is shot to death in his apartment during his own TikTok live stream by 5 armed men who broke into the apartment to assassinate him because he burns Qurans and basically speaks against Islam. And so they murdered him and recorded all of it. The 32nd bomb attack of this month takes place. 32. An assassin shoots the 60-plus-year-old uncle of Sweden's most famous gang leader, the Kurdish Fox, to death. And at a press conference, the PM and government acknowledged that Swedish state isn't in control of the situation. There are 61 no-go zones in Sweden. 61. Democracy. In Germany, they're set to vote today on whether to initiate. Does anybody know how this turned out? Are you in Germany, guys? Is anybody in Germany? Can you tell me how this turned out? Is the ADF still able to run, or did they get outlawed by the Nazis? Which is funny. It's ironic because they call them Nazis. Let me know. But essentially, they were going to do a vote to basically just try and dismantle the ADF so that they can't run and win because they're doing too good. Doesn't that sound like something a Nazi would fucking do? All right. Labor are the socialists. Yeah, okay. Mick, so is reform a better option for you guys, New Order? UK is tax hell. I know all of Europe is. Stevie G, I feel like Elon with high multi-dimensional there's some master plan for UK and Europe on the way. I hope so. Unlock real estate from Toronto and run and invest in real estate in California, but invest in equities in the United States. Thanks to you for your guidance. Yeah, I mean that's probably for equities. That's probably where you want to be, and I can see how real estate and I can see how real estate in Canada is still profitable. Tristan, AFD, so far not forbidden, thank God. Good. Pursuit of code, you know who's good by the media calls now. Yeah, right. Isn't that fucking crazy? They're literally accusing these guys of being Nazis, and then they're trying to prevent people from being able to vote for them. It's like, what? It sounds like the fucking Nazi thing to me. Reform actually increased their share of votes many times more during recent election, but due to the way the system counts votes, only managed to acquire 13 seats in parliament. I remember something about that, and I don't know the way the system works. I can't speak to it. Big macro day, yes. PCE, big deal. All right. Yeah, I'm Canadian, and my only Canadian stock is Sol Strategies. Nice. Playing that Solana microstrategy play. I love it. All right. This is like an open invitation saying come to the UK and fucking steal. This kind of stuff is what like California would do. This is shocking to me and painful to even read. Shameless squatter who moved into a pensioner's home, then won legal right to keep it, has sold the house for $540,000. He took this old man's fucking house and then was able to sell it. Who does this? Who allows this? What country allows this? This man works his whole fucking life. Maybe he even fought in wars for his country. And you let some foreign dude steal his fucking home and profit off of it? Some of this shit is happening in California too. It blows my mind, man. It's disgusting, and it encourages more of it. We already talked about that. The ADF. The ADF are so not Nazis. Yeah, anyway, I think that's it. Let's move on from geopolitics, get back to Trump, and then we'll get on to other things. The big problem is that Hitler is portrayed as an absolute evil AfD group leader and that they're unstable. Yeah, I know. They try and tie these people with him. At this point, you got to hire that guy who will come and out. Yeah, you know what? You got to hire somebody to take that fucker out. Also, in the United States, isn't this fun? We've got radical trans militant cults. One of them murdered David Maland near the Canadian border. These violent trans extremists, this specific cult is involved with multiple killings. I think 4. Here's one of them that got ready to murder this guy. So I don't know, man. I think if you're a part of a trans cult, I think you got to be labeled a terrorist organization. And just to be clear, there's definitely mental illness in the trans community. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to murder everybody. And this incitement, and the fact that many of the mass shootings and killings over the last several years have been from the trans community indicates that we have a real problem that needs to be addressed. And Biden helped foster it. Thank you, Biden. You did such a great job. Hitler was a socialist. Hell yeah, he was. He was very communal. All right, Mario. Trump's tech cabinet. European startups take note. Trump's return is setting the stage for pro-innovation, deregulation-driven tech boom. This is the thing I want people to focus on. AI and crypto are getting a boost under David Sachs, who's crafting policies to supercharge U.S. dominance. Elon, now leading the Department of Government Efficiency, is pushing back blockchain to streamline federal operations. And again, this is a little optimistic right now, but I think it's front-running. It's just front-running what's coming for DOGE. So it's a little optimistic, but it's going to get there really quickly, and it's already starting to. The clock's slowing down and Elon's speeding up. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's stance on NATO could shift U.S. defense spending priorities. It will. You just heard J.D. Vance say it too. The Vice President of the United States is going to flip. Does Bitcoin pop today? It might. It might. With potential tariffs on EU exports, many European startups are looking to expand stateside to capitalize on the U.S.'s pro-business environment. This is all good, guys. And let's go back to that question. Let's look at it. And guys, I'm a one-man show here. Some people don't like me. Garcia doesn't like me, but I think he does. I think he's actually watching me. So Garcia, I want to wish you a good Friday. But I'm a one-man show. If you guys could hit the likes, if you could comment, if you could do things like that, this is literally just me doing this 5 days a week, digging up all the information, subscribe to all these services, trying to parse and give you guys as much signal as I can do. So if you could help out, that would be great. Or as Garcia likes to say, if you could help with my grifting, that would be much appreciated. All right, altcoins. Altcoins front run a lot of what's happening in the markets, and they look good. And then if you look down in the bottom left corner, right corner, sorry, I'm like looking one way and the other's whatever. You'll see that we're still around that 105,000 range on Bitcoin, and I think it's still ready to rock. Okay, it's good stuff. So I do believe that there is a strong possibility that we could see the Bitcoin markets move. And I want to say this based on something else too, real quickly. Gold has been launching. And if you guys paid attention, I don't know if I have a good chart for this right now. I apologize. But when I look over here at gold, there was a chart that showed gold going up, and it was delayed by like months. And it showed how gold had its run first, and then Bitcoin follows. Gold hit a new all-time high, okay? And I don't know that I'm right about this. This was a while ago. I need to update my chart. Because rising wedge, not broadening, which is like, this is a little more bullish than a broadening. A broadening is really bad. But gold is just continuing to go up. It's up 45%. I was making fun of this forever, but it's really still doing good for what it is. And now it's not great because since 2011, 14 years ago, we're seeing 46% upside. So you did a lot better with Bitcoin. But I do believe that gold is simply front running what is coming. You could see the consolidation here in this time frame. And this is much earlier. So this consolidation ended in December of 2023. Bitcoin started there, right? For 7 months, which if you look over here, isn't much. Well, I mean, this one's longer, but gold had a much tougher road. But if you look over here, this consolidation stopped and it started to break out about the time that Bitcoin started to consolidate. So I would make the argument here, at least from what I've been seeing, that this thing is running first. PCE's in line. PCE, my bad. Core PCE 0.2%, consensus and forecast. Personal income 0.4%, consensus but above forecast by 0.1%. Personal spending month over month 0.7%, above consensus and forecast. Hey guys, people aren't too scared if they're spending a bunch of fucking money. Employment cost, benefits 0.8%, better than forecast by 0.1. Employment cost, wages 0.9%. 0.2 better than forecast. Employment cost index 0.9%, comes in with consensus 0.2% higher than forecast. PCE price index month over month 0.3, that's in line. PCE price index year over year is in line and higher, slightly higher, 0.2% higher than previous. Core PCE price index is 2.8, perfectly in line. So this looks good. These numbers aren't getting crazy, guys. If they were in the threes, I'd be more worried about the market and inflation. But them staying around here is not a bad thing. If we jump out, let's just look at some of these prices. We'll go out 10 years. We'll go out even further. So if you go out max on this, you can see where we're at right now is not a crazy number. I mean, the 2000s, the market performed pretty fucking good, right? And look at this. We've got numbers all throughout here. March of 2004, all the way through 2005, 2006. And then we had a drop in 2006 for a little bit, and then we were back above it. All these numbers were higher. So for years, from about 2004, minus like one plus years, from 2004 all the way to 2008 before the great financial crisis, these numbers were higher. So the range we're in, I mean, again, 3 years of being in this range and then going back over here, it was crazy, right? The 70s, the 80s, these numbers finally started to come down. But even from 1987 all the way to, from where we are right now, all the way to 1993, these numbers were around here, right? 6 years. So I don't know. This is looking good to me. Let's see real quickly what our boy Rick Schmantelli has to say about all this. Let's go to Ricky Bobby. Yeah, it looks good. It's actually not even just in line, but wages and spending look good to me too. So I think it's just good across the board.
Thank you, guys.
Here we go.
All right, Rick Santelli is standing by at the CME in Chicago. He's got some breaking inflation data that we've been waiting for. Rick, ahead of that, we are looking at the futures up, down.
I think this is a good thing. I don't know how you sell this as being really bad. Maybe they can spin it.
Now up by about 135, the S&P up by 26. Take it away.
Yeah.
Again, guys, just remember what Tom Lee's telling us with Fundstrat. He's telling us that we're going to see CPI crushing in the months ahead. I think that's a good thing. I think the S&P could underperform because, again, some of these big Mag, at least 3 or 4 out of the 7, out of the Mag 7, I think are going to be weak and underperform and have been underperforming in the last month plus. So I think that we're going to see more underperformance, but I think it's maybe that time for Tom Lee to be right on small caps and mid caps and just companies that haven't been getting a really good ride.
And 10-year note yields are down double digits, down 10 basis points on the week. And here we go.
Tesla could dip because of earnings. I think it popped because Elon was so ecstatic about what was coming next. You're right. I could see that. Pursuit. I hope it does, honestly. That's my bias is for it to go down.
Let's start out with the employment cost index. This is a fourth quarter number, very important. Expecting up a number close to 1%, and that's where it arrives, up 0.9%. That would equal where we were in the second quarter of 24. To find a higher one, of course, you would go back to the first quarter when it was 1.2. So it isn't bad. In between, of course, we had 0.8, our last look, so hovering. Now, if you look at personal income.
All right, real quick, somebody just said something. Victor Hernandez said, Jesse, ARKG's portfolio is mooning, all of them. So yeah, that's good, right? Because as you see, everybody keeps going, Jesse, what about Tim? Have you looked at Tim? And you know what people are trying to figure out, guys? On top of Tim doing good, and let's pull up Tim real quick. We'll get back to Ricky Bobby here in a second. So again, my gold thesis is that gold is front-running Bitcoin, and that's good, right? It's good to see gold doing well because I think Bitcoin ends up doing that too. And then gold takes a pause, and then Bitcoin rides that bitch up. And I think that's going to be happening soon. But just real quickly, Tim is up another 5.53% in pre-market, guys. This thing went from 31. It's already up to 60. So this thing can still go. It's above all peak volumes, right? It's finally starting to get like into the banana zones. Maybe it gets up into the 70s. But now, you know what everybody's talking about? Here's the psychology of market. What else? What's the next Tim? Yeah, Pursuit of Code, all biotech's mooning. Of course it is. Right? That's what's going to happen, right? So what's the next Tim, guys? What's the next Tim? It's ARKG, bitches. That's what it is. It's ARKG.
These are important numbers.
It's the easiest play out there.
Last of 2024 comes in exactly as expected, up 0.4. If you look at the spending side,
yes, exactly.
Stronger, up 0.7. That's a couple tenths better than we were looking for. It equals where we were in September. It ends up being the basically tied for the highest number of the year. To find a higher number, you're going way, way back, Becky, to January of 23. Now, if we look at real spending adjusted for inflation, it's also better than expected, up 0.4. We're looking for up 0.3.
Ricky Bobby's
Last
happy.
week was up 0.3. Up 0.4 would be the best going back to September of last year. Now, here we're getting
Marcus
into the
liking this,
nitty-gritty.
guys.
The PCE pricing components. We
Slowly
have 2
creeping.
month-over-months, 2 year-over-year. On the pricing, month-over-month, up 0.3, exactly as expected. But 0.2 hotter than the rear view mirror.
Don't lie.
That is not a good number. And it basically, we have been at lower levels. We're at 0, 1/10. So these numbers are a little warmer than expected. We started out the year at up 0.4. Now, this is the second highest level on a month-over-month basis. If we go year-over-year, 2.6, also higher than the rear view mirror, which was 2.4. To find a higher number, you're going back to April, when it was 2.7. We're equaling May, but now this is the 1-2. This is the third consecutive month that we have made no progress. In 3 running months, here's what we've done. 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and now, of course, we have 2.6. If we go back to month over month, these are core numbers, up 0.2 as expected once again. 1/10 hotter than our last look at up 1/10. And maybe the most important number of all, in my opinion, the pricing index year-over-year core. 2.8 was our last look, 2.8 as expected. And if we look at SEP, it was 2.66, October 2.79, November 2.81. And here we are once again, and I'm not sure how they rounded it, 2.8. We could say it's equal, but we're really not making any progress here. You can see that interest rates have trickled up a little bit. In my opinion, the reason rates aren't going up more on this data, Becky, is because I think investors have gotten used to the notion that we are at a standstill with respect to large progress on the inflation front. We make little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, steady as she goes, not anywhere near on the year-over-year 2%. And I'm starting to see some very, very late revisions coming across the wire.
Revisions. Here's what we're here for.
Personal spending, our last look moves up to 0.6, which of course leads into today's up 0.7. And on real spending adjusted for inflation, up 0.4 looked like an improvement, but last month's up 0.3, now moves up to up 0.5. No
Spending's looking better. Yay.
No matter how you slice it, the numbers on income and spending don't paint the picture of an economy that's going anywhere south. It looks pretty solid. Pre-open.
This looks good for Papa Powell. It looks good for Trump. It looks good for the economy, and it's only going to get better. And tariff, people are going to spout a bunch of shit about tariffs, but it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. And we want some tariff pressure, guys, because we want businesses to come to the United States. Just like Bernard, the richest person in France, who's literally telling you from his words, fuck France. we're going to open up business in the USA. Why do you think he was here? ARKG, I still think it's a good opportunity. Run the options calculator on them. Go to the free options profitcalculator.com, watch my option 101 video, and run the numbers and look at them to see if they provide the asymmetric opportunity you're looking for. To me, it's still 7 to 10x. Last time I checked. Trump can do away with the IRS. I won't fight him. He's going to be able to do everything, guys. He's going to be, you start with the easy wins. Get the confirmations out of the way. Tell people you're going to burn this bitch down, and then just back it up a little bit. And that's what we're doing. And I don't even know the Canadian dollar. So let's look here. I'm just going to glance. So the Indian rupee, the dollar's up against it. Dollar's up only 0.06%. It's still looking good. It's still in that rising, broadening wedge that I love so much. I'll just show you guys this real fast. So the dollar is still in our rising, broadening wedge. It's kind of been an indecision candle, but I think that candle is going to be similar to what we saw over here, where we're going to have a rollover effect. We want the Epstein list. You're going to get it. You're going to get it because Kash Patel is going to be fucking confirmed. I think at least 2 out of 3 are going to get confirmed. I think it's going to be 3 out of 3, which is insane. But I think there's so much pressure being applied from X and people saying, call your congressman, and from billionaires saying, we will fucking destroy you rhinos. If you do not vote for these people, we'll destroy you. Say goodbye to your fucking political career. And I think that holds weight. I think it holds weight more than the bribes. So ARKG is going to be good, guys. And here's the thing. You don't need to know everything about the genomic space and the biospace in order to be able to profit from it. You can just own ARKG. Isn't that great? Like ARKG list. So here's some of the holdings for it. So Tim, I guess, is number 3 right now, Tempest. Assuming this is updated. It looks like it. Oh, I like this, actually. This is kind of handy. So you can see the allocation weightings, but look at this. There are 30 holdings in ARKG so that you don't have to fuck with it. You can just literally invest in this. And if 3 of these do well, this thing goes to the moon. And they don't even have to do well. It just has to be speculation. You're only down 35%. Is that on ARKG? Got in too early? Sounds like a problem. I do that sometimes too. Don't tell anybody. Kyle Wright. Can't rake in more bribes if you're not in the positions to do so. Yes, exactly, right? So that's the incentive. You change the incentive. You change the fucking rules, man. And that is what's happening. As oil comes down today, as the dollar continues to have issues, as oil drops to 72.96, and I believe what will happen very in short order, I believe that we'll be down into the 60s. Just imagine, guys, this is such a bearish. I don't need this anymore. We're going to change this, okay? There's a new pattern here that you need to see, and it's a devastating pattern for anybody who's long oil. This is a descending triangle. It is a descending triangle that starts really, kind of over here, but we'll just ignore all that. Well, actually, we'll probably start right here. November of 2021. 2021. So you're looking at a multi-year descending triangle that wants to break down. The measured move for this is retarded. I'm not going to pretend like it's going to happen because it's so retarded. I'll draw it and I'll show you what it means. But it's so retarded, it just can't be real. Or can it? Can it be real? This is roughly the measured move, guys. It's in the 30s. Can you imagine if if gasoline is like $1.90? Can you imagine that? If it's like $1.50 for gas, can you imagine that? Drill, baby, drill means something, guys. It means something. 2 weeks, Tim, is only 5% of portfolio, and it's now around 7%. Yeah, exactly. The portfolio allocation grows. But also, the great thing about it is, all it takes is pure speculation. And if this thing doubles, if ARKG doubles, right now, just in my main account, I have almost $400,000. I've got more in my other. So I'm maybe sitting at $450 right now. If ARKG doubles, I get 10x that. That's $4.5 million. Right now, I'm only sitting at about a little over $5.5 million, right around there. So that gets me to my 10 million goal right there. Just that one investment. Just one investment that represents 8% of my portfolio can get me to my 10 million goal that I wanted to achieve by the end of Q1. It's lofty, I know, but I'm going to do it. I'm working hard at it. Maybe beginning of Q2. Don't want to get too cocky. So just think about that. Think about that. One fucking position. This is why we have multiple asymmetric bets. And if that happens, I'll be looking at hedging strategies, and we're building up a lot of them. And the Discord, we're talking more and more about that, or at least I'm going to be talking a lot more about that for hedging related strategies. And we're going to work through them, and I'll probably create an actual channel for it too. Unless they've already done it, because they do everything without me. They're so fucking awesome. All the best are less than Jesse. Thanks, man. I hope your headache's getting better, bro. Alonesis. That is such a fucking cool name, bro. Invest in stocks that Trump was last in power. You should do well. Price of oil, low interest rate. If you're in the service sector for energy, I think it's going to be something where you can do really well. If you're in the pulling stuff out of the ground, unless there's massive government incentives, which there could be, I don't know how well that does. So energy could be weird. Where is Mara heading in Q2? Straight fucking up. Oh, guys, we have so much to talk about. So the bell is going to be in about 45 minutes. Then in about an hour, we'll get the rest of our economic data. We'll get Chicago PMI. That should kind of seal the deal. If that's good data, then I think the market just continues to go up. And again, if January is a good month, so goes the year. 89% probability of an up year by the end of the year. So that lets you know where you're sitting. And it lets you, it really preps us for melt up scenarios, which I believe that we're going to accomplish. So very excited about what's happening now, right now, guys. Just so fucking excited. There's so much to talk about. Let's get back to it. We got to get back to it. So again, with potential tariffs on EU exports, many European startups are looking to expand stateside to capitalize on the U.S.'s pro-business environment. Startups are coming here, guys. Startups are coming here. You think Garcia Capital guy is hate watching you throwing? I hope so. But here's the deal, man. And there's a lot of really great people. All you guys are really fucking wonderful. And a few of you reached out to me and were talking to me yesterday, and they're like, dude, just ignore him. He's worthless. He's just a hater. He hates on like a bunch of big accounts because he can't do what we do, and he's too concentrated in a couple of things. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to take that advice and ignore it. So, and one of them was somebody I won a bet from recently. So about an election, and he's a good dude. Former air traffic controller describes how the FAA has been overtaken by DEI since the Obama administration. We're going to listen to this real quick. It's a minute and 50 seconds. We're going to roll fast now, guys.
This is
don't give haters oxygen. I think that's a really good way to look at it, man. I think that's it. I just had to get some stuff off my chest because I don't like it when people lie about me. You know what I mean? Like, I work hard. I share everything. And when people who don't share things, they don't show you what their portfolio allocations. They don't literally give you all of their trades. They don't show you their performance history. Even if I don't have all the perfect metrics in order to be able to paint the perfect picture, I only have what I had before. I literally was sitting in a Facebook group 2 years ago with like 500 people in it. Some of them, like Chris Federal, he was in that group, and so he can account for my actions before then and how well I was doing because he was a part of all this. Okay. And a bunch of others here too. But when people are lying about you, especially when you work so hard to try and give back to my own personal family, friends, and everybody else, it gets you pissed. You know what I mean? I think that's a normal human reaction, but I do need to be smarter about it. And so that's what we're going to do. Former air traffic controller.
Preventable disaster. The system has been under attack due to DEI. And the FAA bowing to wokeness since 2010, since the Obama administration. The lack of staffing is directly attributable to the Obama administration terminating the lists of eligible, well-trained air traffic control statements in 36 universities across the country in 2013 because they were too white. the FAA also at the same time implemented an immunity program. So
an immunity program. Why the fuck are we giving immunity to people for incompetence? What is that, dude?
Think you're seeing legitimate statistics, you're not. And the
all right, hey Jarrett, you can go somewhere else then, dude. You can talk here. You know what? You're not talking anymore. I'll put you in a timeout. Make it 24 hours. Fuck off. If any of you guys want to be supporters of Garcia, that's cool. You're just not going to be here anymore, okay? And he's done well because he invested in Palantir, one fucking stock. Anybody, any moron who held that stock did well, okay? That's one fucking company. You know what? I'm just going to ban that guy. You're just not going to talk here anymore, dude. So anybody else want to come out and say anything? Cool. Let me know. Now you don't have the ability to speak here anymore. Bye.
Old days before 2010.
And that's how much I give a fuck about subscription money. There you go.
In the immunity program, if an air traffic controller got two airplanes too close, too many times, they would be decertified and retrained. Now, they're not. All they have to do within 48 hours of being noticed or being investigated for a potential separation error, they're called operational errors in the FAA, the controller just simply has to avail themselves of this program that gives them immunity. And when I say immunity, I mean immunity. The FAA cannot retrain these people. If somebody has a repetitive instance of malfeasance or lack of competency, the FAA, because of this immunity program, cannot rectify the situation. They have to basically allow the person to remain in the same position. It's very, very difficult.
How is it that we allow that? How is it that we allow that? So we allow the incompetence, and then we allow them to continue to be incompetent. And then we're not hiring the best. What the fuck is this? Why would we do this? Why would we do this? Yeah, Corey's been here too. Corey has been around since the Facebook days too. And I don't know if this is real. You guys tell me. If you guys know this, let me know. Things are weird right now. There's so much misinformation. There's a lot of like really negative shit happening in the trans community, but I think there's others that are jumping on making shit up. So I've heard that there's potential that it was a woman flying in the helicopter pilot, and that it was a trans woman, and that they had 500 hours of flight experience. Does anybody know if any of this is real yet? I'm probably going to ignore some of it until Community Note steps in. But if any of that is true, whether it's a trans, whether it's a woman with 500 hours of experience, there's no way they should have been flying around Reagan International Airport. It's like fucking chaotic there. It is the worst case scenario. You would not want to do that. Mario, Paramount in talks to settle Trump's $10 billion lawsuit over 60 Minutes. So Trump already won $25 million from Meta, which Elizabeth Warren is now saying is like a bribe, whatever, dumb bitch. But now Paramount has to settle because of their 60-minute edited interview on that got debunked. Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to take that actually on my list then. Thank you very much for that. I forgot to uncheck it. All right, I'll get that later. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for figuring out all that shit. So ABC already paid $15 million for defamation, and Meta agreed to pay for $25, and now we've got this $10 billion lawsuit. So how much does Trump make off of this? We're slowly going to bankrupt between, I think, Trump and Elon and many other people. The the hate and the lies that are spewed and the distortion of the facts are going to get people sued to oblivion. These big companies. So I think that's good. Breaking: the parent company of 60 Minutes is considering settling. Okay, so same thing. Senator Tom Cotton believes that Tulsi Gabbard has the votes to be confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. That would be great. When your transportation secretary is Mayor Pete, you get crap like this. Yeah, the guy seems very likable, but like in a kickable way. Does that make sense? Like you want to kick him, but he also seems like he would just be like, hey, I'm Mayor Pete. Old Army dog. It's all about people avoiding accountability. Jesse Kraniak. Rex made an unhinged video yesterday where he was like nervous laughing at the end over how bad MicroStrategy was. Poor kid. I don't want to talk shit about people anymore. So I'm just going to ignore it. But yeah, that's a bummer. I hope he's a good guy. C-list, it's real based on past president or precedent. Okay. Mike Shoemate, that kind of a James NG, scary thing. Who can you trust? Well, that's the great thing about community notes. You just wait. You just wait and you'll find out the truth. Desco 28. Yeah, ignore it, Jesse. A lot of information at the moment. Yeah, I agree. Andrew Hewlett. What a glorious turn of events. Gemini Knight. Since COVID, things have been crazy. Also, the tampons news at Meta. Oh yeah, they got rid of the tampons, right? I don't know. Oh, and then we got Elon talking about suing Waltz. There's so much going on, and he's probably going to sue CNN because his mom asked him to. And when your mom asks you to do something, you fucking do it, right? So I think May is the sweetheart. You gotta love May. All right, fried food rocks. It says my stream says it's having an issue maintaining a smooth stream. If you guys see any weirdness, let me know. I get that from every once in a while. So let me know if anything gets crazy. Fried food rocks. People don't realize how monolithic the government is. Yes, there are many bureaucrats and agencies, but there's also many highly skilled doctors, lawyers, engineers, research scientists. Yeah, with getting paid is the bad part. The Ned Flanders of government. The huge axe to the government will set many agencies' missions back. Good. That's what we want, right? We want these agencies to hurt. We want the World Health Organization to hurt. We want government bureaucracy to hurt. Fuck all of them. The government shouldn't be leading initiatives. The government should be protecting its citizens and ensuring that there's incentives for the right initiatives to occur. They shouldn't be picking winners, and they sure as fuck shouldn't be running it. Ever. Any government, anywhere in the world. Jack Atskin, have you reviewed already Voyager Technologies IPO space defense company Palantir's participation? No, but I mean, I think Palantir is going to be a good proxy for a lot of that stuff, I feel like. Matthew, I think NVIDIA is going to get hit hard with the allegations of chips. It's not allegations. Like 24% of their chips are sold to Singapore, and I think it's going to China. So I don't even think – so I do think, Matthew, I think you're right. I think it's like, okay, why the fuck – like, how is that going to continue under a Trump presidency? And if that stops, you're looking at a reduction in revenue. But then you just got confirmation, too, that Meta and NVIDIA and others are definitely – or I'm sorry, Meta and Tesla are going to be buying tons of chips. Elon said it'll take like 10x what it took for the car. 5 or 10x, I can't remember. You guys correct me, for compute. So there's going to be a lot. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think NVIDIA has a lot of upside. So I might sell some of it. I don't know. Or just keep it as like a source of funds, because I think it's probably just like hanging out where it is. C-list, Jesse, your description of Buttigieg sounds like the talking shit in South Park. Yeah, I love South Park. I don't watch it much anymore, but yeah, I don't get the reference, but I'm sure it does. Theo, it's time for accountability, and that includes media. Yes, stream is good. Awesome. I experienced some chop, but it's smooth now. Feed is all good now. Oh, you're right. The message is gone too. Okay. Cam was lagging for a minute. Jesse, always good for a chuckle and a smile in addition to great analysis. Thank you, sir. All right, let's get back to it here, guys. So again, I think it sounds like, we'll see how true this is. Tom Cotton is usually a pretty straight shooter, so we'll see if Tulsi gets confirmed. This is amazing. Listen to this. Listen to this retarded bitch.
You were on a show on...
She tries to make this all about race because of statements that RFK made that were in regard to vaccines and what they could do to black people and whether or not they should be on the same vaccine schedule. And he just destroys her on this. Listen to this. This is so good. This is pretty much how all the confirmation hearings have been going, guys. It's just Democrats looking retarded as fuck and looking corrupt as fuck, and these guys destroying them.
You were on a show on February 26, 2021, an interview with Dr. Judy Mikovits, where you said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule."
Now, she wants to attack this like, oh, black people, you're going after black people. That is not the point of any of this. He's saying that it should be a different vaccine schedule so that you don't hurt them because there are genetic differences. I don't know if you noticed, but she is a darker skin color than me. So there's something different there, right? There's difference in genetics between different races and different people around the world. Some things are universal, and then there's all these little intricacies in between. It's one of the reasons why medicine is going to turn more towards genetic-based for individuals. So it's okay to say that it might be different for black people than it is for white people, especially when the science tells you that. So again, let's just listen here. Joseph Ting, thank you for being awesome and helping me make money. You're welcome, Joseph. I hope I do a lot more of that in the future.
Schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours. Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
And to be clear, blacks suffered more from the vaccines than white people did. They just did. The numbers show that. So he's just saying we could have probably saved lives.
I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you.
She doesn't like saving black lives.
Vaccine schedule would
this bitch doesn't think Black Lives Matter, evidently.
you say I should have received?
She's trying to get him.
What different vaccine schedule should I have received?
I mean, the Pollen article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than...
This is so dangerous.
So you get the same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous.
Fuck you.
Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
I mean, do you think science is dangerous, Senator? This is published peer-reviewed studies.
I yield.
I love the end of that. Do you think science is dangerous, Senator? This is published peer-reviewed studies. And evidently she didn't want to talk about it anymore. I love that. It's like we need more science. Everything that Robert F. Kennedy has been talking about is saying we need to actually question the science and look at it. Science is supposed to be questioned, guys. Does anybody remember? You come up with like your thesis and then you try and disprove it. When did science become the, like you said in here, trust the science? It's like, oh, hey, one person said something, but these people disagree. Shut those fuckers down. When did science become that? It's not supposed to be that. In its purest form, it's supposed to continually be questioned. Because there's very few things that turn into law and rule. And then later on, we usually find out that they're wrong. I just thought that was funny. I thought it was great. Trump just saying BRICS, this is great. So the idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while stand by and watch is over. I talked about this one before. We're going to require a commitment from these seemingly hostile countries that they will never neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty U.S. dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling in the wonderful U.S. economy. Again, at least 33 to 38% of sales out of China end up coming to the United States in some way, or to major Western nations that are very strongly aligned with us. Honestly, like 95% of that number is literally to the United States because you have to include Hong Kong and China when you're looking at exports. So, guys, this is like, we have so much power over this. And people are like, oh, China should just stop shipping to the United States. They would go into an immediate Great Depression. They're probably already borderline depression. And it would destroy them. And they would have to immediately go to war. Because that's all they'd have left, is trying to redirect the people to hate us more than they hate their government. So that wouldn't really work very well for them. But he said they can go find another sucker nation. There is no chance that BRICS will replace the U.S. dollar in international trade or anywhere else. Any country that tries to should say hello to tariffs and goodbye to America. I love it. Just got confirmation of payment from selling my business. Took over 1 year. Stocks went crazy. It's cool. Going to Bali and Thailand. Manny, that sounds great, dude. So your business is sold. Got a bunch of money, and it's time to start another stage of your life. That sounds kick-ass, bro. Very happy for you, brother. Rod D. Martin, breaking, new Secretary of State Mark Rubio. And again, guys, I'm going to be talking more about this stuff because it's going to become really, really crucial in the future. And I want to say thank you to how many people are here right now? It's not 800. To the 1,047 people that are here. If I offend anybody, I'm fucking sorry. I really don't care that much, though. I'm just speaking what I believe to be the truth, and I can be wrong about things. Manny, thank you very much for the €100, I believe, or GBP. Yep, that makes sense. And thank you very much for that, sir. But yeah, guys, I might say things that are wrong and sometimes offensive because I just speak my mind. I just speak my mind, and I don't do it to be hateful. I don't believe any race or people are better than others. I don't care if people are gay. My best friends, and I was in their wedding, are two gay men, okay? I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I just want good people to be in power. I want meritocracy to prevail. I want America to succeed. I want Bitcoin to win. I want the world to be a better place for my fucking child. So that's what I want. That's what here's my motivations. Massive national security threat unfolding at the Panama Canal. China's stealth takeover has happened right under our noses. Again, my wife is from Panama. My mother-in-law is in Panama right now. I can tell you the Chinese run everything, including a lot of the government. So Rod Martin, this guy's great. I'm really glad I followed him. But Jesse, if everyone is offended in equal measure, then no one is. That's a good point. I want a Canadian-American Economic Union. I would love to see that too. I think if you guys get Pierre in power, then we can have that, right? Like let's get rid of Trudeau. Let's play hardball with him, crush that fucker, get him the fuck out. Rod R. Martin, did you know the Panama Canal, America's most expensive project ever built, was given away by Jimmy Carter for just $1? Not a typo, $1. Worst president ever. Big shocker. Now China is exploiting our weakness. Chinese companies, CCP pawns, control the ports on both ends of the canal. This isn't business. It's a strategic military positioning. Ted Cruz just blew the whistle on this in Senate hearings. The only waterway more vital to the American economy and national security is the Mississippi. Letting China control it is insane, but letting Panama rip us off is nearly as bad, and they are. The numbers are shocking. 75% of canal traffic is U.S. cargo, $3 billion in annual profits, all coming from American taxpayers and consumers. Here's the real kicker. The U.S. Navy pays extra fees just to move our own ships through it. We gave it to them for $1. We pay extra fees to move our military through it. Let that sink in. We're paying a premium to use what we built. And after all that, China could potentially block our warships from defending U.S. from them. Secretary Rubio is heading down there next week. Our treaty requires them not to let our enemies control the canal. That was always the deal. It's time to straighten out the Panamanians one way or another, kick out China, or we take the canal back. The president said that there is no negotiating. That's okay. We can just replace him. Or we can just bring our military in and reestablish our military bases. I know a lot of people, again, in Panama, family members, that don't like the amount of Chinese influence that's there. There's going to be plenty of Panamanians that side with this, and really they have no choice. They've had a really good deal. We gave this to them, and if they're violating our agreement, then it's time to take it back. That's my take. Trump, Truth Social update. Panama is not going to get away with this. Finally, someone putting America first. Again, they were renaming everything to try and make it look like the Chinese don't have control over all of it. The evidence is clear. Chinese control ports, violation of neutral treaty, ripping off our Navy. Time to take action. Bottom line, while Democrats gave our canal away, the CCP was plotting to control one of our most critical waterways and create a choke point to hamstring America. This is not a drill, and we finally have a president who gets it. Remember, they're building a Pentagon that is 10 times the size of it on Western Beijing so that they can go to war with us. We better be ready for war. This is not a drill. This is what needs to happen. Thank you, Rod Martin, for your report. Appreciate you very much. PJA, thank you for the $1.99. Yep, let's let AAs be test dummies because of one Polish study. I'm sorry, what? What are you saying? What are you saying? Can you clarify on that? I'd like to know what you meant by that. So please add more. During his Senate confirmation hearing today, RFK Jr. was attacked by Oregon Senator Ron Wyden, who accused RFK of only pursuing money. Oh yeah, we went through this one yesterday. Let me see if there's anything else here, and we'll move on. Breaking Senator Ted Cruz says that Ash Patel will be confirmed as the FBI director. Another massive fraud scandal is unfolding in Governor Tim Walz. 62 child care centers under investigation, 56 cases of child endangerment. Some centers had 0 kids enrolled in them, but got millions of funding from the state. Officials flagged it 2 years ago, but Walz did nothing. You guys can check out that link. All right. The hostility Robert F. Kennedy experienced. Yeah. And again, this just shows everybody getting paid off. We went over this. I just want to make sure I don't have anything else. Oh, this is funny. This lady's such a dumb bitch. Listen to this. This is so great. This lady's so retarded. Check this out.
Hear your answer, yes or no. Did you make money?
I don't have those financial disclosures.
This is my third and last time I'm going to ask you that question.
You have that information.
So you refuse to answer the question.
I answered 1,300 pages.
No answer. And yet you spread dangerous misinformation. Hear your answer, yes or no. Did you?
So again, he's like, I answered 1,300 pages. They put 13,000 up here in the note. But 1,300 pages of information. I've already answered your question. Oh, yeah, no answer, no answer, no answer. Yeah, guys, Iron's up in pre-market. Cypher's up even more because Cypher got an investment from SoftBank. I think you're going to see SoftBank probably jumping into others too. Maybe not. Either way, though, it's just a sign that people are getting excited about these miners. I think all of that is really wonderful. And Man Mahindra said Trump meets NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang at the White House today to discuss export controls. Yeah, so that's going to be tightening up. You know that's going to be tightening up. Speaking of Minnesota, a treatment center, New Way, commits nearly $60 million in Medicare fraud and is being investigated for illegal kickbacks. Dude, there's so much corruption in Minnesota. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's got Waltz running it. Act Blue is just begging to be prosecuted by the Justice Department at this point. We do have 19 minutes, guys, before the bell rings, and we're going to get into other more tactical stuff and investment stuff here in a bit. But you got to know what's going on politically, guys. If you don't understand what's going on politically and this new age with everything moving as quickly as it is, you're going to be behind. You're going to be behind and you might make investment decisions that will hurt you. So we will be focused on this stuff. If people don't like it, that's too bad. It is what it is. Needham analyst John Todaro reiterates Cypher mining with a buy and maintains a 750 price target. Kick ass. Act Blue is just begging to get prosecuted by the Justice Department at this point. Not only are their donations illegally laundered using old people's names, they're now creating a website to endanger ICE agents. So in here, this lady is saying they're trying to create a resist map where the website will help illegal immigrants evade ICE arrests and alert them to raids in their area. This is insane. These people are probably going to get in trouble and get prosecuted. So good for them. Let me see if there's anything else that matters in here since the bookmarks are a little weird. Trump's FBI purge intensifies. Top officials forced out. Several high-ranking FBI officials have been told to resign and face demotion as Trump cleans house and federal law enforcement. The latest purge includes about 6 executive assistant directors overseeing criminal, national security, and cyber investigations, many of whom are career officials, not political appointees. Again, why do we have people that are just literally like career officials? Why do we have that? This follows Trump's firing of 18 inspector generals and the Department of Justice prosecutors involved in cases against him. Kash Patel, Trump's FBI pick, insists there's no retribution. There's probably some. There's probably some. That's okay, though. You know, the retribution, you can't even really call it retribution. It's like, oh, hey, these guys were doing things that were illegal and they're getting what's coming to them. Breaking, Arizona lawmakers are now investigating illegitimate Governor Katie Hobbs after $339 million disappeared. So over $1/3 billion. Hobbs' budget director also mysteriously resigned yesterday. State Senator Alex Culloden issued notice to Hobbs stating that here's what it says, quote, "Imagine my shock when the legislature was informed the state has several insolvent agencies and requires $340 million bailout to close out the current fiscal year. Since your liaisons dedicated to briefing members of the legislature failed to provide detail on how we got here, I'm putting my request in writing. Arizonans deserve to know the details. Why did you mislead the legislature about the spending you intended to approve? In just 2 weeks' time, I've learned that the problem has worsened and that your officials are now requesting $350 billion. What's going on in Arizona? It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Ethio Duna L, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Shots fired. Bang, bang, bang. X is the best show on earth. I regret helping you. I will be correcting that massive mistake. Yeah, we saw that. That's from Shanahan. She's kicking ass. Let me see if there's anything else here. That's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for now on that front. Let's move on. I think we did U.S. economy. We did geopolitics. We didn't do, let's go down here. We're going to do Bitcoin real quick, and then we'll talk about some microstrategy too. I guess I got MicroStrategy in here. So MicroStrategy will have up to $584 million to buy more Bitcoin after its stock offering was oversubscribed by nearly 3x, increasing from 2.5 million shares to 7.3 at $80. So again, over $500 million that they're able to pull in via this method. I think that between all the offerings they have, they're going to have unlimited amounts. Yeah, Cypher's up 17% in pre-market. It was up like 21% last night, so it's dropped a little bit, but that's good. I think the whole sector is going to start doing well. But yeah, I think the MicroStrategy is not a Ponzi scheme. If you listen to people like Ben Workman, Jeff, oh God, I can't remember his name, the Asian dude, and then there's another guy that I gave you guys in regard to the bond market that have all worked in these bond markets for a long time and that know the industry really well. They'll tell you that what these guys doing is innovative and brilliant, and that it's going to work really well. And again, the leverage that Michael Saylor has is very, very low. I don't even know. It might even be around 20% right now. Yeah, Ben Workman, but I'm thinking of the other. Jeff Parks, I think, is the Asian dude from Stanford. And then do you guys remember who that Indian dude is? I can't remember his name. I gave you guys videos. I think he's Indian. That's just a guess. But he was really great. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll try and find the video. Senator Cynthia Loomis, but if anybody has it, throw it in chat. These are the guys you want to listen to. Nick Bhatia, thank you. That's the other guy. So Jeff Park, Ben Workman, Nick Bhatia. These guys are badass. If you want to really know what's going on with MicroStrategy, these are the people to listen to. There's other ones too, but these guys are great. Is it Neil or Nick? I thought it was Nick. I volunteered to testify. So we got Van Eck saying that, hey, I volunteered to testify with Cynthia Loomis, talking about the opportunity that Bitcoin has because we've done more research with this than anybody. And so they're just showing what Bitcoin can turn into for their compound annual growth rate and how much it could amount to. And what they're saying is by 2049, Bitcoin will be worth $50 trillion. So that is a 25x from where it is right now. I think that their calculations are low. But honestly, it could be right because I think you could see slower growth from increase in size, and because that's just the way it works. I mean, you get less volatility and you get less upside potential. So I think a lot of that will be front run earlier in the process, and then it will slow down. And I think it will also I think it'll be a forcing function to make governments more efficient and effective and stick to their budgets and do what they say they're going to do and be accountable for their actions. So if those things do happen, Punter Jeff, yeah, he's awesome. He's a part of that whole crew with Ben. He's great too. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them that are really great, but those are probably the top 4. Grayscale launch. We talked about this yesterday real briefly, but MNRS. This is a breakdown of the holdings. So thank you, Urkel, for this. Steve Urkel, dude. So it shows Mara's right at the top of their list. Huge allocation. They've got Riot at 12%. I'm not quite sure why, and I definitely wouldn't have Cores at the top of my list just from their previous bankruptcy, but maybe this is some HPC type play thing that they're looking at. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking here. But they got CleanSpark and IRA next. So really, out of the top 5, 3 of mine are in the list. I like that. I like being there. Yeah, Saylor will be rich as fuck. He'll be one of the richest people in the world. Let me go back. I went too far. Back over here, Bitcoin. He'll be one of the richest people. He'll be up there with Elon Musk. He'll be up there with Elon Musk. Elon will still beat him. Bitcoin miners are having a weekly hammer bottoms all over the place. This is a bullish sign. So again, he uses a different version of fib where it's like it goes out. What is it called? God, I don't know why it's escaping me right now. Let me just pull it up and I'll tell you. He uses, I think it's fib. He could be doing, it's probably like fib wedge. It's probably fib wedge. Could be fib. Yeah, it's probably fib wedge. It's fib wedge or fib speed resistance fans. It's probably the fan actually. So that's the stuff that Cantonese Cat uses. He's my favorite cat. And but he was saying, hey, look at this. We bounced off. We got up to here, and again, we got this beautiful bullish hammer. Gann squares. Is that what it is? I mean, I never use them, so I don't know. But if that's right, thank you. MicroStrategy balance sheet is way below 20% right now. I think down to 7 when everything converts. Wow, cool. Stevie G, I see how Saylor is clearly a financial genius, but I don't understand the end game of never selling with so much centralization of Bitcoin. Won't this eventually present an issue? No, he'll just be the bank of Bitcoin for the United States government and the world. No, it's not really. If he never sells, it's not an issue. All it does is increase the adoption rate of Bitcoin, and it accelerates the adoption. It accelerates the increase of the price appreciation because he's never going to sell it, right? So he's locking up Bitcoin and he's emptying out the OTC desks and he's emptying out the exchanges. We want all that. It's a beautiful thing. He literally said he wants to be a bank. Well, next week they have MicroStrategy earnings. Oh, guys, and I don't know if I talked about this. MicroStrategy will not be recognizing their FASB accounting rules next week. They'll be doing that for the quarter of January. So their impact will come in after Q1. That's when they'll start. And it won't be like a rolling sum of everything they've ever had. It will be the price appreciation from the beginning of Q1 till the end of Q1 that will reflect on their earnings, just to be clear. But that should be a really big number because, again, these guys are working their way to 500,000 Bitcoin very quickly. So that will be a big number because, again, with Tesla, it was $600 million in appreciation in one quarter. So I would expect MicroStrategy to do really well with that too. And maybe their plan changes and they do it for Q4, but that's not what they've said. Mike says Trump's meeting NVIDIA. Yeah, I saw that earlier. We talked about that. That's going to be exciting. Again, I think he's probably going to lay down the law, and I think that should be done. Cointelegraph, the SEC has approved Bitwise's Bitcoin ETF and ETH ETF. Trump's fund is putting more money into ETH. So I don't know. ETH might do all right, guys. This is fucking cool, though. This is insane, guys. So Tether now, the world's largest stable coin, is minting on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. I'm going to play this for a second. This is so cool. This is so cool. I'm so glad that we're getting here, and I'm glad to see Bitcoin Lightning Network adoption increase. It hasn't done anything in a very long